How many people in your Republican club in Connecticut?
I'd say we have about 30 members that actually regularly show up and are
with
involved.
me and my wife, I think that's about 32 people now.
32 Republicans in Connecticut.
Yeah. Vote for Republican. Yeah. At least in Connecticut. Let me go here. How many of you, and I want to include the audience here too, how many people think that you're going to inherit something of real value as a country? How many do you think that when you're my age, this country is going to be, well, let's make it 5 years from now, this country is going to be financially anything but wreckage? Nobody. Nobody. Okay. People will say, well, George Bush was spending us into oblivion. And I said earlier this week on one of my shows, they'll always say, well, where were you when George Bush? Yeah. My answer is, I was pointing that out. Yeah. But even if your answer wasn't that, it doesn't matter anymore, does it? It doesn't matter. It should be, you're awake now. Come on and join me. What is the idea, or what are you feeling about the future and the spending and all of it?
When people walk into our Republicans Club room at John Jay, I'll say, so are you here for Republicans Club? And they're like, no, I'm a Democrat. I'm like, well, let me ask you 2 questions. And I ask them, when you earn a paycheck, who does it belong to? Who has a right to it? And everyone answers the same way. They say me. I'll ask them 3 times. They will say it belongs to me. Why shouldn't we apply that everywhere? What you earn is what you deserve. And it shouldn't be anybody else's unless you say so. And so many people are upset with the kind of spending because they know that it's their money that's being taken from them and spent out carelessly without knowledge of what it's really going to. I'm upset that our Congress went and passed a bill that most of them didn't read. And if they read it, they didn't understand it. Why are you voting to spend someone else's money on something you don't know anything about? Right. It's careless. And frankly, anyone who votes, if you voted for one of these people, don't vote for them again. If you vote for them again expecting a different result, newsflash, you're insane.
What is the, what, I mean, I'm one of these guys that have a hard time voting for, I vote for principles, and I voted in Connecticut, I voted for Joe Lieberman when he was a Democrat and when he was a Republican. I disagree with him on most things. I mean, I think he's a big spender, he's a big government guy, et cetera, et cetera. But at least he was one of the only honest people that I had ever met. In Washington, he was a guy who I know Joe is going to say, you know what, Glenn, I'm going to vote for everything that you disagree with. But at least I know that going in. I'm not being lied to. You know what I mean? I'm one of these guys that have a hard time looking at politicians now and believing anything they have to say. The people who were running our country now, in the 60s, they used to say, don't believe anything anybody says if they're over 30. Why do you guys believe in anybody in Washington?
I personally have a tough time believing people. I mean, we just had, I guess, what was it, Congressman Hare, who said that he read the bill 3 times, and judging by his comments, I mean, I don't know if he read it 3 times, and even if he did, it's a lot of reading, and he refused to answer his constituents' questions on how long did it take you to read the bill, and he didn't have an answer for it.
I mean, that's 6,000.
That's a lot of pages.
6,000 pages.
Yeah. Maybe I'm weird, but I'm still a big fan of the whole Mr. Smith goes to Washington thing. That we as young conservatives bring a lot to the table, that we are experienced, we can change the world, and maybe it's a little grandiose, but I think one college Republican meeting at a time, we can make it happen, and that there are so many people involved. The people coming out to the meetings, town committees are packed, young people are running for office all over the country. It's a pretty dire situation, and it's about time people have woken up.
Okay. When we come back, we're gonna have more conversation and with the audience as well, and then I want to show you possibly future politicians, but possibly future replacements for me. We'll share that with you coming up. With our special series, another installment, Time to Be Heard. This time it's young conservatives and young Republicans. Quite honestly, I would think that young Republicans would be dying out because the Republican Party is struggling itself, but there seems to be a new breed of Republicans coming to the table. So, time for them to be heard. I want to play a little bit of indoctrination that we've talked about on this program before. This is being played in schools and colleges all around the country. It's The Story of Stuff, and here's just a little clip of it.
I'm using a person to symbolize the government because I hold true to the vision and values. The government should be of the people, by the people, for the people. It's the government's job to watch out for us, to take care of us. That's their job. Then along came the corporation. Now, the reason the corporation looks bigger than the government is that the corporation is bigger than the government. Of the 100 largest economies on Earth now, 51 are corporations. And as the corporation has grown in size and power, we've seen a little change in the government where they're a little more concerned in making sure everything's working out for those guys than for us.
Megan, you are a college freshman, and we're at NYU, and they showed this.
They did. I was in my MAP courses, which is like the requirements for College of Arts and Science students.
Wait, in your what course?
It's called MAP. It's
MAP.
Morse Academic Plan. It's the requirements that you're forced to take. And I'm taking a science course, and it's called Nature and the Environment. And I basically, we finished a topic on global warming.
And somewhere, your parent is paying for that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. My dad was not happy. And so we're sitting there, and we finished global warming, and they asked how many people agree with it, how many people disagree with it. Me and 2 other people raised our hand and said we still don't understand, we don't buy it. But and we like got a look from everybody in the room, of course. And then they put on this video, and we watch it, and it's basically for a second grader, and they're showing it to college freshmen through seniors. It's like mixed grades in that course, and it was just, we watched it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
What was the thing that you thought it was trying to teach?
That America is evil, basically, that the government is here to save us all, basically, from the end of the world, and that capitalism is bad, and the environment must be saved immediately. And it's just things that I've been taught my whole life by my parents and by watching networks like Fox aren't necessarily the case, and then it's just throwing it down your throat.
How many people here have would say that it is a friend that made you conservative? How many would say it was a teacher that made you conservative? How many would say it was your parent that made you conservative? Is there anything else left from that? That's the answer I thought I would get is, you know, what, Michael?
Watching all the things that go on, and just you realize when you listen to Democrats and liberals toss around ideas that just don't work, you realize that that's really not the way to go. You know, when I entered college, I wasn't sure which way I leaned, and at NYU you get thrown this liberalism in your face. I saw a person, and then Senator Obama was coming to NYU in 2007, and somebody asked me, "Oh, are you going to see Barack Obama?" And I said, "No, I'm not really a fan." And he said, "Oh, I didn't know you support Hillary Clinton." And I'm like, there are other people that I could be voting for, like Republicans, which was obviously the case. And when that's the environment you're in, you say to yourself, gee, am I crazy, or is this just what we're dealing with?